Welcome to Talking Up Music Education, a podcast from the NAM Foundation. The NAM Foundation is working to assure that all children have the opportunity to learn and grow with music, and that music is part of daily living for everyone. Talking Up Music Education podcast shares news and stories about music education from teachers, students, parents, school, and community leaders who care about music education and are working to create more opportunities for music learning. And now, here's your host, Mary Lurson.
So it's my pleasure to be here with Mayor Karl Dean, and welcome to Talking Up Music Education. This is quite a remarkable day to be here with you. First of all, this morning, the Pope spoke to the Joint Congress, which I don't know if you had a chance to see, which was a remarkable public service moment. We're here in Nashville, Tennessee on Mayor Dean's last day.
Last full day. Tomorrow,
day.
My successor, Megan Barry, will be inaugurated at sometime between 2 and 3 o'clock.
Oh, so we're in the last 24 hours.
Yes.
Within the last 20. We walked up the steps and we saw the preparedness for the inauguration, and the building is all abuzz with the changeover. So thank you so much for giving us this time.
Oh,
today.
Happy to do it.
And I wanted to talk to you today about not only your tremendous leadership for music education in the city, Nashville Music Makes Us initiative, but also just the whole concept of leadership in general. So thank you for taking the time. Tell us of your journey to becoming the mayor of this important music city. What brought you to the call to public service to be a mayor?
I have always had an interest in politics and public affairs. History, political science were my major in college. I grew up in a small town in Massachusetts named Gardner, which is famous for furniture. The world's largest chair was outside my high school. And while there, I was in high school interested in public affairs, and in college, and then went to law school here. I went to college in New York City.
Were you a class president? Did you do all those things?
I did lots of activities. I was
student government,
debate and
right.
All the other things. And then I went to college in New York City and decided to go to law school. And I came down here to go to Vanderbilt and met my wife in law school, and here I am still.
How many years in Nashville then?
I came here in 1978 and moved here permanently. Graduated in 81 and moved here permanently in 83.
So this is truly adult home.
Yes, I've been
Nashville.
here longer than any other part of my life. Yeah. Most of my life has been spent in Nashville, Tennessee. Yeah. I love it's a great city. I love it.
Oh, no kidding. And you've helped make it an even greater city.
Well, when I got here, I went to work in the public defender's office as a lawyer. And then in Tennessee, we elect our public defenders. Mm-hmm. And I was elected public defender in 1990 and reelected a couple times. And then the mayor, the new mayor, Bill Purcell, asked me who had worked with me in the public defender's office, asked me to become the city's lawyer, to be the director of law for the city, do all the legal affairs for the city. And I did that. And then after 2 terms, he wasn't running for re-election. I thought, I'd really love to do that job. The city's a great city. It's moving forward. I had a lot of ideas of things I wanted to work on. And so I resigned in January of 2007 and just ran for mayor. And I was very fortunate and lucky to win. And I have been mayor since September of 2007.
So 2 terms.
Yes, 2-term limit.
Yeah. 2-term limit, right. So what would you consider to be your top line accomplishments? I know this will be written about and talked about, but we'd love to have you share it with us.
Well, it's hard to pick one thing, but I think the thing that I'm proudest
More
of...
than one is fine.
that I've worked on is we've really stayed very focused on priorities, and I have had very clear and defined priorities in that I think public education, public safety, and economic development are the things that we need to concentrate on as a city. And so we work hard on those every day. And, I was mayor, elected in 2007 in September. The country...
Interesting times.
Yeah, unrelated to my election, the country goes into the deepest recession it's known since the Depression. And that made having priorities really helpful, because as you were cutting the budgetary pie, you cut the piece for education. You didn't reduce the size of it. you might have reduced, you had to reduce other things. But education, public safety were the areas I protected. And then as time went on, we were able to do more. And so sticking with those priorities was important. I think leading the city with really great help from the finance director, Rich Riebling, and the deputy mayor here, Greg Heinold, through the recession and then during a flood in 2010.
Yes, and NAM was here, and that after that post-flood, another big moment for the city. Tough moment. But
I would say, there's lots of programs we did. I mean, clearly I'm probably very identified with the convention center,
Absolutely.
Which was a massive investment we made during the recession that's really paid off for the city in my mind. I'm proud of the work have done with libraries and schools. We have a program called Limitless Libraries where basically we broke down the walls between school libraries and public libraries and made all these other books available to our kids in school. And it's been a huge success. And that type of cooperation between government entities that are really separate doesn't happen all the time. And I give the schools, Dr. Register, a great deal of credit for getting that done in our library system, Ken Oliver and Donna Nicely for doing that. I think having the economy, we've invested a lot in infrastructure to encourage private investment, and the economy's just taken off here. And it's been incredible to watch the city grow and to watch all the cranes and to see.
I know. I was actually driving down to the Central District office, and I looked across. I said, I think that last time I saw that many cranes, I was in China. I mean, it just brought right back to me.
There's an impressive amount of construction work being done here.
There's a boom. There's the boom energy here, boomtown energy. So that must make you feel. Yeah, it must be very gratifying to know that people can feel that optimistic.
Yes,
right?
I think it's a great sense. I like to end my speeches by saying I really believe this, that Nashville's best days are still ahead of it. I mean, I do think Nashville's going to be a better city 5, 10, 20 years from now. And it's going to continue to be a real exciting place to live. It's kind of interesting. I mean, the investments we made in the first term helped with the second term, but the first term clearly was dominated by the recession, the flood, working on the convention center, working on economic development. But those were the big things.
Keeping the schools funded.
Keeping the schools
adequately funded, investing in innovation library.
Right, but finding that a lot of things, and this is a good segue into Music Makes Us, is that particularly during the recession, but I'd say even up to now, the best way to do anything creative in government is to look at public-private partnerships. When you can get nonprofits, when you can get the private sector, and the music industry has been great in terms of their support for Music Makes Us, to step up and be involved, it makes it that much easier to get public dollars, because you can say to the council or to the school board, if this money's going to go away unless we take advantage of it. This is a golden opportunity. People are stepping up and helping. Let's take that help and do something unique. And then these public-private partnerships too, you just get more energy and more ideas because you got not just people working for the government thinking, you got a broader community thinking about the issues.
I don't want to miss this pretty remarkable opportunity to chat with you about just the concept of leadership. We speak an awful lot in music education advocacy about grassroots leadership, that you can lead from the middle, you can lead from the top, you can be a motivator, you can be a galvanizer. And I think that, the story that you've just told of your tenure as mayor, of a recession, a flood, and that was a very dramatic flood. I mean, even the music industry lost some very valuable assets, in terms of the road equipment. That's the vintage.
We had some
major things happen.
The Grand Ole Opry flooded. I mean, it was closed for several months. Sound check with lots of musical instruments stored there. Yeah, absolutely. Devastating flood.
That touched every part of the music industry. So the question I have to you is, you've accomplished a lot, but the concept of how you accomplish some of this, and that you've had a very unique ability, I believe, to bring people to the table around, not just our problems and crises, right? But then building on those for opportunities. I mean, Can you elaborate on that, on your own process?
Yeah,
for
well,
going back to the table.
Yeah, I think what I've tried to do is when I see something that I think needs to happen and needs to be worked on is to pursue it. And I have not always met with success. I have been, as I say, a big believer in reaching out to the private sector to be involved in things and to partner with the government to get things done that will be for the benefit of both. But I think my main impetus to keep moving forward on issues is that I think you have this position for a very short period of time. The 8 years have flown by. That you should try to do what you can do. I would feel worse if there were things that I didn't try because I feared to fail than I would at failing.
So you've been bold in setting some agendas.
I think I've been aggressive.
Yeah, bold. I can say bold. You would say aggressive. But as part of that, you've brought people into that.
Right.
And part of you can have a great idea, but if no one sort of says yes, we'll participate in it. So there's that negotiation and collaboration.
Right.
That's part of leadership too, right?
Right. And I think it's important, particularly at the executive level, to say this is what I think needs to happen and set a course and hopefully you get there.
And I think we talk about people who care about issues, no matter what it is. It's music education or other things in the service sector or the public needs sector that we, people need to stand for what they care about.
Right.
And
well, I don't think, at any point you do a job like being a mayor or running for office because there are things you want to do.
Right, right.
And you don't do it just because you want to be the person who gets his name on a document because you happen to be holding that position.
It's a vision.
Yeah, you got to execute on things that you think are important and do the best you can to get them done. And like I say, I'd rather try hard and not make it than not have tried at all.
Mm-hmm. And live with the detractors, right?
Well, you got it. Yeah,
and live with the negative editorials every now and then, and to strive for the upside, right? Yeah. Well, I think it's incredibly commendable what you've done, and NAM as an association that's made us our summer home has certainly benefited, and we've also tried to give back to the city. Through our participation with you. You've mentioned a couple of times this public-private partnership. I assume that's part of the sort of leadership collaboration model too, right? If you bring stakeholders together, then they can research and invest and investigate and participate in something serious and brave and
right. But I think, the recession, and even before the recession, there has been increasingly sort of a viewpoint that government is not getting any bigger, it's kind of getting smaller, and that it's harder and harder to find government dollars to pay for something new or innovative. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I think it's reassuring to folks when you say, we're not going to pay for it all. Here's somebody who believes in this so passionately, they're putting their philanthropic dollars into this to help us get this done. And that gives you, I think, the freedom to bring in, say, in education, if you wanted, we brought Teach for America into Nashville. That was an initial investment of probably a couple $1 million. And to do that, we raised most of that money privately. But that gives you the freedom to get that started and in the door and allows you to do something innovative. And so that's where I think the benefit of public partnerships come. Mm-hmm. And we see them in other areas too. Like, we built a hockey rink with the Nashville Predators, managing it.
At the Fritz Center.
Out at, the Ford Center, the Ford Ice Center, which is out in Antioch, which is wonderful. And that benefits them, but it, really benefits the city. And they made it possible for us to do that.
So, and then I want to talk about the music education in Nashville, really. But because you're an elected official and you've swum in these political waters for these many years, I can't resist, because I'm a policy wonk myself. I can't resist. How are you feeling about our current state of politics and the ramp up to the 2016 elections? Anything you want to, casually go on record to say without being, I can't resist, I can't resist every news cycle, and I participated in all and follow everything. I feel I'm giving you my opinion to soften you up for you to give me yours. But, it's a very, very dynamic and irresistible time for me as someone who follows all this.
Well, I think elections to me I'm fascinated by.
They're irresistible.
Yeah,
right?
and they're very interesting. This year's election, I don't think we know yet what the issues are that are actually going to decide it. I think the issues that are being discussed, particularly on the Republican, because that's the only real debates taking place, are not going to be the issues that are going to decide this election. It may come down to someone's sense of confidence in the person or belief that's the right person who can carry the country forward or make people feel secure. I have a hope that the atmosphere will be better than it was 3 or 4 years ago when President Obama was reelected. I kind of think that basically I think he's had a good year. I think people are appreciating him some, and that the tone may be a little less divisive. That might be Pollyannish.
We might be getting it out of our system right now. I mean, the vitriol, the dialogue, kind of getting it out, because we do need a policy discussion.
Right.
Ultimately, if it's about taxes or how we finance things and how we approach things, the role of government, the size of government. I mean, there needs to be those issues brought forward.
Right. They're real issues to discuss.
They're real issues.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for that. Maybe we should, be tweeting each other as we go through this year. One thing that we've talked briefly about the music education effort, and I wanted to bring this up to you because it's been said to me a couple of times that, did you say this and is it true, that for many years, music education, it's existed in the community, existed in the town, and there were always threats of cuts, and there were advocates that would always come forward. And they would say, no, we can't cut the string program. Here's the data, da, 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 da. And in early discussions with you, some of these folks said, you have got to stop talking about the money. Now, is that true that you said that? You're basically saying you're kind of focusing on the wrong thing here?
Well, I think I said that we got to think, let's design a program. Let's design something that would give us the best. And then you worry about the money.
This is so you can say you did probably say that.
Yeah,
a version of that.
Yes.
So that's trickled down through the Mayor
correct.
Dean myth filter that you probably did
right.
Because I think that's been a very effective thing that we would really like to amplify.
I didn't want people to look at it and have their vision hampered by fears about money. That to think of what's the best way to do this? And then money always becomes an issue, no matter what.
Right.
But it's better to do the initial part, I thought, in this particular case, thinking broadly and sort of dreaming a little. So that's correct.
That was the risk of a visionary. That was the risk of a leader. That was to saying, stop. We need to back up and look at all of the assets in this community. Look at the opportunities through the public-private partnership.
Right, and it helps drive the study part to a conclusion, because you got to say at some point, let's just get something that we can work on.
To build forward.
Right. And I think, money will be and has been, you never have enough, and you always want more, and there's always more kids to serve. But, I would say for Nashville, this came out of we created this music council to work on music-related issues for the city that I've been the co-chair of during my time as mayor. And the music industry on its own said, basically, we want to give back in education. Now, there's a history of that in Nashville. The CMAs have been paying for musical instruments for public schools for a long time, and literally millions of dollars.
Literally. Yes.
And so they wanted to think of a program, and we sort of set a goal to have the best music programs in the country. We had good music programs, and there were some outstanding examples of it around the city. But when you come to Nashville, Tennessee, you expect that we're going to have it all.
Right.
And I think there's that demand for it. And I'm a big believer in the creative economy and the fact that if you have creative people, it kind of spurs energy and action to make things happen. So you want to be a creative center. And so we set out to do something different. And I think the work that has been done, having hip hop and bluegrass and creating the music studio and diversifying it. And then, the CMA and others making these music instruments available, having songwriting classes. And there's just a lot of people in Nashville from the outside who can help. And then the music industry stepped up and some other members of the philanthropic community to make contributions. And then we've been able to, finesse as best we can with the Metro budget to help. But I hope long term that there's a commitment at the city level to put money into it. I don't think it's a frill. I think arts education is an essential part of an education. And to support it and to continue to see it grow. One of the best things about it, in terms of just making me happy, of how I think about music makes us, is mariachi. And I don't know anything about mariachi music prior to this. I mean, I knew it existed and I've heard it. But Nashville has become a much more diverse city over the last 10 years. We've gone from about 2% foreign born to 12% foreign born. And we started in our schools mariachi programs. And it's just wonderful to see how the community responds to it, how the kids respond to it, being in touch with that music. The energy of it, it's just exciting.
Yeah, and I've coached so many school districts that are considering a music education diversity program to expand. And I said, you must remember that when you have a child in a program like that, you have 20 or 30 relatives in the audience. I mean, you reach a community, you build a community of educational purpose and meaning, when a child has that experience. It's just so important. So that's wonderful. Yes, you've left a very wonderful legacy with the Nashville Music Makes Us.
Yeah, it's a good team. Found the right person to run it. Lori's done, I think, a great job. Mm-hmm. I think the music industry continues to be interested and continues to invest. And it's good for students. I mean, there's a correlation between students doing music and instruments and reading music and math. Mm-hmm. There's a correlation between graduation and participating in music type programs. So it's a good thing for the city.
Yeah. So what's ahead for Mayor Dean? What's it going to be like to be a student in? You will now be teaching on 2 campuses. Is that right?
Well, one full-time, which is Belmont, and then one semester at Boston University. Mm-hmm. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to teach history and political science and kind of emphasis on history. And I love that. And I'll be reading books I want to read and reading, talking about things I want that actually totally engage me and that I wouldn't have time to do before.
So are you going to have to develop a syllabus in class?
Yeah.
Are you doing all that now? And you'll start?
Well, I've looked at a variety of things. I'm going to start at Belmont in mid-October, and I'm starting really in the middle of the semester. So I won't do a class. I'll teach a class in the spring on critical presidential elections, and then...
Oh, can I audit? Can I?
Whatever President Fisher says is fine. I'm probably fine. And then I'll teach a class in Boston, but I have to spend... I'll be working hard on the syllabuses in October and in November, whatever.
But you're really looking forward to it.
Oh, I think for me that's the best shift where I'll be able to... I just love this job. I really have. I'm going to miss it, but to do the reading I want to do and then to talk about it. And I'm really anxious to work with college-age students. I've taught at law school before, and I think this to me will just be pure joy.
Take a deep intellectual dive.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like really massage all the parts of the brain that don't have to negotiate anymore. Or
it's not a chore for me to read a history book. It's a pleasure.
Right. Well, we're so grateful for your time today, but I have to say, we're more grateful for your leadership and your wonderful leadership of Nashville, Tennessee, which is NAM's second home with our summer NAM.
We're very happy.
And all of that you've given. We really hold Nashville up as an emblematic city to support music education. Through our Support Music Coalition, we've been talking about it to the nation as much as we can. And I don't think we could have done that without your vision and your leadership to help us create it, to lead the community to see that it was possible. So we're very, very grateful and very grateful for your time today. Any parting thoughts before you head off to your last night as mayor of Nashville?
Thanks for spending your summers in Nashville, and thanks for your interest in what we do here. And just to the people of Nashville, thanks for this great honor to have this job for 8 years. It really is a special thing.
Thank you. And to all of you, thank you for joining us on Talking Up Music Education. Thank you, Mayor Dean.
Thank you.
Talking Up Music Education is a podcast created by the NAMM Foundation. To learn more about how you can support music education in your community or how you can be part of the work of the NAMM Foundation, visit our website, www.nammfoundation.org, or join us on Facebook at facebook.com/NAMM Foundation. You can also follow Mary on Twitter at Mary LNAMM.